In this lesson, we are going to define the coordinates of the line.
قلت لك هلا لا يخلص الابديت سيزون 6 لا يخلص الابديت لا بيكون صار نص السيزون خلص نص السيزون ونكمل الحمص.
رضا فاتح
ندور
رضا
مايك
مايك.
رضا شيل
رضا
المايك.
مايك.
رضا فاتح مايك.
طيب الصدفة انه كنا عم نعمل ريكورد
الله
يلا.
يجرسك.
سوري استاذ.
Right. So in this lesson, we are going to define a coordinate system. We are going to define the basis of a system and how to find coordinates and components of point, components of vectors with some properties. In the coordinate system. Right. Before we start, we are going to define what we call a direction vector of a line. If you consider a straight line D, when I say vector I is a direction vector of line D, when I say vector I is a direction vector of line D. What does it mean? When I say direction vector, it means that any 2 points AB on the line, AB are 2 points on the line D, then vector AB and vector I have same direction, Okay, vector is a direction vector or directing vector of a line. It means that for any 2 points on the line D in AB, vector AB and I have same direction. بمعنى تاني graphically اذا انت هيك حابب تشوفهم كانهم parallel، يعني كانك انت هون عم ترسم 2 lines in parallel. Okay, or compounded. يعني for example vector I here is vector I. Okay, it is on the line acting vector or the line of action, it is a line D. مش مهم. Okay, right. This is the meaning of a direction vector. Right. If you consider now line D, this is a line D. Straight line D. And direction vector I. And if you consider a fixed point O on line D, you fix the point O on line D. Right. To remind you, if, for example, 2 vectors U and V have same direction, what does it mean? What does
They
the
are
vectors?
or collinear.
U equal KV.
U is equal to K times vector V. Then U is equal to K times V. Right. If you have a point O here on line D, then OA and I, vector OA, vector I, have same direction. Because here, as we said, I is a direction vector of line D. So vector OA and vector I have same direction. It means that OA is equal to some constant times vector I. OA is equal to some constant times vector I. ومن هون نحن راح نبلش. And the vector I together with the point O بنسميه system of line D. System of line D. ليه؟ إنه any point A on the line, any point A on the line, you can write OA is equal to some constant O bound by this point O, initial point O, and A, اللي بنسميه origin, okay, is equal to some constant times this direction vector. To some constant times this direction vector. Any point you can determine the location of any point A on this line using this. You can locate or determine the location of any point A on the line with respect to this origin O, this point O we choose, okay? Using this relation, OA is equal to some constant times vector I. We say that A has coordinates K, or it has one coordinate. Okay? OI بنسميها system. The system of this line. When I say OA is equal to some constant times I, then this K is the abscissa of point A. The abscissa of point A denoted by x of A. X of A is equal to some constant, to this constant K. And for example, when you say you have the line in line D, when I say, for example, OA is equal to, you have the direction vector, let's say that this is vector I, okay? Then if we have OA is equal to I, that means that the abscissa of A is 2. So here, اللي انتم بتعرفوه here you put 1, 2, here is point A. لان احنا already انتم بتعملوا الcoordinate system, بتعملوا labeling 1, 2. Okay? When I say that vector OB is equal to negative 3I, negative 3I from O draw a vector equal to negative 3I. So you measure OI, لان احنا بنختارها 1, 1, 2, negative 3. Here is point B. OB is equal to negative 3I. Okay? X of B is equal to negative 3, or point B has abscissa negative 3. Here X of A is equal to 2. Is that clear?
Clear.
System of,
Yes.
here we are moving on, or we are using only one direction, or only one line, one dimension, but coordinate system on a line only. Coordinate system on a line. Well, I will move to coordinate system in a plane. In grade 11, grade 12, coordinate system in space. طيب بس الأساس هيدا، بس تفهمها الباقيين صاروا أشكال. Any questions? How to locate a point A on the line, the meaning of direction vector and system. So again, I is a direction vector of a line, O is a fixed point on this line. Okay, when I say abscissa of A is equal to some constant K, it means that OA is equal to K times I, K times this direction vector, K times this direction vector. Right. Now if you consider the points A and B in this example, A is to I, A has abscissa 2, B has abscissa negative 3, OA is to I, OB is equal to negative 3I. Right. Let's find the coordinates of vector AB. Coordinates, and please don't write, okay? Coordinates of vector AB, or the components of vector AB. Right. And the system also OIG, or OI, sorry. Right. If you insert point O here, then you are going to write AO plus OB, which is equal to AO, it's negative 2I, and OB, it's negative 3I, which is equal to negative 5I. So component of vector AB, it is negative 5. Or the abscissa of vector AB, it is negative 5. Of vector AB, it's negative 5. And here, as you can see, in general, if you have 2 points, MN, it is OM or MO plus ON, which is equal to negative OM plus ON, which is equal to, if OM is KI, or let's say XM times I, ON it is XN times I, then it is equal to XN minus XM times I. So the components of vector MN, it's XN minus XM. As you can see here, AB, it was negative 5, which is negative 3 minus 2. Negative 3 minus 2. اللي هن abscissa of M, sorry, of B minus abscissa of N. مصر على M minus A. It is x of B minus x of A. And negative 5, it is x of B minus x of A. So in general, the coordinates of vector AB, the coordinates of vector AB, it is x of B minus x of A times I. اللي مثلها طلعت معنا. Okay? Vector AB has coordinates xb minus xa. اللي هي, we can write it xb minus xa times I. Any questions before we continue?
No.
As you can see here on the graph, AB شو طلعت معنا negative 5I. Here we have vector AB, A to B, and vector I. As you can see, they have opposite sense. They have opposite sense. So one of them is negative the second. And if you measure AB, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 times I in magnitude. The sense, it's opposite, so negative 5I. Again, this is I, vector I. Here is vector I. AB, it's the magnitude, it's 5 times the magnitude of I. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So AB is equal to negative 5I, as you can see here in the on the number line. Is that clear?
Yes, Ustaz.
كتير منيح. طيب. So components of vector AB are xb, or the abscissa is xb minus xa. And then we write AB, it is equal to xb minus xa times this direction vector, which is I. The algebraic measure of AB, it is this value, xb minus xa. Algebraic measure, it means that it could be positive or negative. Here AB is negative because as if we are talking about the sense from A to B going in this direction, the negative direction, or in the opposite sense of I, the opposite sense of the direction vector from A to B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the opposite sense of I, because the magnitude is negative 5, for example. The magnitude of AB, it is the magnitude of this vector, which is equal to xb minus xa in absolute value. When I say magnitude, or the distance from A to B, it can't be negative. Distance from A to B, it cannot be negative. It is the absolute value of the algebraic measure of AB. Okay? Algebraic measure could be negative, but as if here we are telling about the sense. From A to B, it's negative, so move in the opposite sense of I. Like AB is positive, so move in the same sense as vector I. But when I say measure of AB, it is the distance from A to B. لا, ما فيها تكون negative. AB is positive value. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes.
كثير منيح. لأنه if this is clear, then the second part هلا نحن اللي بيهمنا هلا the coordinate system in the plane. هون اللي بيهمنا. Starting from this. So if you have any question, please let me know. واحد. طيب. No. and the plane. And the plane. Consider two non-parallel lines, D and D prime. Let's say this is vector line D and this is line D prime. And let's say that I, the meeting point هنعمل O. I is a direction vector of line D, and J is a direction vector of line D prime. Here we have I direction vector of line D and J direction vector of line D prime. And let's consider any point M in the plane. Any point M in the plane. حالة محل. طيب. To consider vector OM. Vector OM this vector OM can be decomposed into two vectors, which are, let's say, this is point شو بنسميها P, and this point Q, in which, of course, here MP is parallel to vector D prime. MQ is parallel to D. Then what can you say about OQMP?
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram. Then OM is equal to the sum of which two vectors?
OQ and OP.
OQ and OP.
OQM.
OP.
Yes, OP.
OP plus OQ. Right? Now, that means that because here OPMQ is a parallelogram. So OM is equal to OP plus OQ. But I is a direction vector of line D. Then OP it is equal to some number x times I. OP is equal to x times I, because here I is a direction vector of line D. So again, to write it, P belongs to D, and I is a direction vector of line D. It means that OP is equal to some value x times I. Right. Similarly for OQ, it is equal to some value y. I'm not going to write the same value x, نسميها value y. ليك ما تستغرب انه شو كنا عم نشتغل x k اسمها x مش مهم شو اسمه. Okay. Some constant times the direction vector. شو اسمه اخر همه. طيب. Here OQ it is equal to some value or some constant y times vector j. The same reason Q belongs to vector to line D prime, and J is a direction vector of line D prime. Then OQ is equal to some constant y times vector j. So here OM, we wrote it in terms of I and j. We wrote it in terms of I and j. How the vectors I and j are called bases. Bases of the plane. Bases of this plane. هاي انت شايفها قدامك، هاي البيضة الورقة البيضة هي البلane. Okay, IJ is the basis of the plane. Why? Because any point M in the plane, any point M, وين ما أخذت البوينت M بالplane, then you can write OM is equal as a linear combination, let's say. OM can be written as a linear combination of vector I and vector J. Or in other words, can be written in terms of I and J. Okay? طيب. Together with point O with vector I, vector J, هنا بنسميه coordinate system. System of the plane. واضح اللي عم نحكيه؟ Is that clear؟ مفهوم شيء يعني basis of a plane,
Yes.
system of a plane. Any point M إذا هيدا هو basis or OIJ هو system, OIJ is the system and the plane, then for any point M in the plane, you can write vector OM is equal to some constant times vector I plus some constant times vector J. How the constants X and Y are called the coordinates of M, the coordinates of point M, denoted by, we write it like this. M has coordinates X, Y. هذا اللي أنت بتعرفه من grade 8 to 9. This is the meaning of coordinates of a point. This is the meaning of base system. In the coordinate system كنت أنت تاخد in the coordinate system X O Y هيك كنت تاخدهم بجريد 9. In the coordinate system X O Y هاي نحن بنسميه the axis of abscissa دي وهي بنسميه axis of ordinate. هاي abscissa وهي دي ordinate. هاي abscissa وهاي ordinate. Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay, that's good. Right. We have قبل ما نحكي عن particular values, components of a vector. If you have vector u in the plane, هاي بالنسبة للcoordinates of a point on the plane. طيب. If you have vector u, any vector u in the plane, then vector u is equal to